what do you see win total for him as you look at the Browns? And I know it's early to do that, but you know, my guess is 8-8, 9-7. If everything falls their way, maybe 10-6, maybe. And flip side, if it, the key injury on the offensive line or somebody gets banged up, they could end up 7-9 or 6-10 again.
Yeah, and I'll say this: the Browns were really fortunate on offense last year, injury-wise. Odell battled the things he did, but Baker Mayfield playing through a couple bruises here and there, but that's football for you. The Browns are ready for an injury at really every position outside of maybe on the offensive line, but even then, Bill Callahan raved about Chris Hubbard's swing tackle ability and just how much of an asset he'll be. So the Browns are they're one of the deeper teams at the important positions, I would say. The secret to the schedule right now is what NFC East is the NFL going to get this year? If it's the NFC East of the past few years when no one wants to win the dang division and 8-8 or 9-7's taking it, and then you got a bottom feeder like Washington, then the Browns' schedule looks a lot easier. You could see a road to maybe double-digit wins, and I don't want to go too high there. When I say double-digit, 10 is the ceiling. I want to be clear on that. But if the NFC East, all of a sudden you get a juggernaut Cowboy offense that gets unlocked by Mike McCarthy, is CeeDee Lamb, you get the Eagles playing like they did when Carson Wentz and then eventual Nick Foles Super Bowl. If that NFC East becomes a top-tier division rather than the bottom feeder and quite frankly, laughingstock that it's been, then the Browns are in for a tougher road. But what I do like are those two New York games. I'm not too worried about the Giants, and the Jets have a lot of issues also. So, and one more thing, the Browns' final, I believe, 5 games. The last 9 games, 5 of them are at home. You're really happy to finish the season like that, and then you get Pittsburgh in Week 17, and that's always a fun one. If Big Ben is on the other side of his career, that might be an easier game than people are recognizing right now.
The other thing is there aren't other than Ben Roethlisberger has been a pain in the Browns side, and you do have Joe Burrow, but they have Burrow, both games before the 8th game of the season. So you get a rookie quarterback before he's really gotten acclimated to the speed and what the game is about. You've got a lot of quarterbacks that are not elite. Dwayne Haskins, Daniel Jones in the NFC East that you mentioned. You got a young Joe Burrow, Sam Darnold. There isn't. I know you got Prescott, and I know you got Wentz, but there isn't oh man, you got to face Drew Brees, or oh man, you got to face Tom Brady. There's no Brees or Brady on this schedule.
Yeah, and no Pat Mahomes, so you got to be pretty excited about those avoiding the big names. Maybe that had more to do with why the Browns aren't in prime time compared to just being a Browns problem. They just didn't have the quarterback matchup necessarily. Of course, that Ravens game is there for that reason. And you're really onto something with the quarterbacks. And not only that, but you get Joe Burrow at a great time, Week 2, a primetime game in Cleveland. He's a rookie learning a new offense in a virtual offseason. And then, again, you get Dwayne Haskins after that. That Cowboy game is scary going to, teams tend to play better in Jerry World, but again, you're on the road. And then right after that, you get the Colts. And the Colts could be a darling in the AFC this year, but that is only going to be Week 5 for a new offense in Phillip Rivers. And though there's some familiarity between Rivers and his offensive coordinator there, that's still a new quarterback. So even though it's the name Phillip Rivers, it's a new unit for him. So I think that first 4 or 5 games lands pretty nice for the Browns. You could be looking at, 3-2, something like that. And if you can get out of there with above 500 record, and that bye week's coming up, I think this lands pretty well for the Browns to flirt with 9 to 10 wins.